All right, let's dive into something super interesting today. Motivation.
Ooh, motivation. Love it.
Yeah, we're going to be unpacking some ideas from Daniel Pink's Drive. The book's called Drive, The Surprising Truth About What Motivates Us.
I love that book.
It's good stuff. And, we've all heard of the carrot and stick approach, right?
Classic. Yeah.
But Pink really kind of flips that on its head, and it's pretty fascinating stuff.
It really is. What Pink does so well is he challenges that traditional thinking about rewards and punishments.
Right.
Like that whole system of motivation 2.0, as he calls it.
Motivation 2.0, okay.
He's got this whole concept of motivation 3.0, and it's really compelling.
Okay, so what is this motivation 3.0? What's the big idea?
Well, it's all about understanding that, we're not just motivated by those external rewards like the carrots and sticks.
Okay.
We have these deep psychological needs that really drive us.
Interesting.
And he zeroes in on 3: autonomy, mastery, and purpose.
Yeah, I can see how those would be pretty fundamental to feeling motivated. But Pink doesn't just, throw those terms out there, right?
Oh, absolutely not. He's got some really strong evidence backing it all up.
I'm all ears. What kind of evidence?
So he digs into research like Harry Harlow's experiments. He was working with monkeys and puzzles.
Monkeys and puzzles. Okay, now you have my attention. What do monkeys have to do with all of this?
Well, it might seem a little out there, but trust me, this is where things get really mind-blowing.
Okay.
Harlow discovered that these monkeys actually loved solving puzzles, just for the fun of it.
Really?
No treats, no rewards, just the pure joy of figuring it out.
That's wild. Like they were intrinsically motivated.
Exactly. It makes you think, right? How much are we underestimating the power of intrinsic motivation?
Big time, I'd say. So if it wasn't about rewards, what was it about these puzzles that got those monkeys so engaged?
Well, I think it speaks to our natural desire for mastery, that drive to learn and improve.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And, it's not just about monkeys. Pink brings up another cool study by Edward Deci this time. It involved humans and a Soma Cube puzzle.
Ah, okay, so we're moving on from monkeys. Tell me about this Soma Cube study.
So Deci, he divides his participants into 2 groups. One gets paid to solve the puzzle,
Okay.
and the other, they don't.
So obviously the paid group, they're going to be way more motivated.
You'd think, right? Money talks.
Exactly.
But here's the kicker. Once the payments stop, guess what? The paid group, they totally lose interest in the puzzle.
Really?
They're done. But the group that didn't get paid,
Yeah.
they keep on playing. They're enjoying it.
Wow. So it's almost like the reward kind of overshadowed the enjoyment of the puzzle itself.
Precisely. Pink calls this the Sawyer effect.
The Sawyer effect.
Named after Tom Sawyer, that clever kid from Mark Twain.
Oh, yeah. He tricked his friends into thinking whitewashing a fence was, like, a privilege. Pretty sneaky. It's funny how these simple stories can teach us so much about human nature. So, rewards aren't the magic bullet then. What does Pink suggest we do instead?
He argues for a pretty big shift in thinking, honestly. We need to move away from those external motivators
Okay.
and instead focus on those deeper psychological needs we talked about. Autonomy, mastery, purpose.
So instead of dangling carrots or threatening with sticks, we should be creating environments where people feel empowered to learn and grow.
Exactly.
I'm starting to get it. This Motivation 3.0 sounds like it could unlock a whole new level of engagement.
Right.
But how do we actually get there? How do we move away from these deeply ingrained Motivation 2.0 systems? They're everywhere in workplaces, schools.
You're right, it's everywhere. But Pink's got some pretty strong arguments against those traditional motivators.
Okay.
He actually lays out 7 what he calls deadly flaws of the carrot and stick approach.
7 deadly flaws. All right, lay it on me. What's the first one?
All right, so flaw number 1, they can actually kill intrinsic motivation.
Oh, that makes sense, like with the Soma Cube experiment.
Right. The reward, it actually undermined their natural enjoyment of solving the puzzle.
Yeah, the external reward kind of crowds out the internal drive. I get it.
And you see, the problem is, when we lean too hard on those external motivators,
Yeah.
we risk undermining people's natural desire to learn, to grow, to contribute.
It's like we're training them to expect a reward for everything. Not great.
Not great at all.
All right, so deadly flaw number 1, killing intrinsic motivation. What's next on the list?
Well, the second one might surprise you. Those carrots and sticks. They can actually make people perform worse.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
But don't incentives always lead to better results? That's what we're always told.
It's the classic thinking, yeah. But get this. Pink talks about a study done in India. And what they found is, for tasks that required creativity or problem solving, higher rewards actually led to worse performance.
That's kind of crazy. I guess the pressure of a big reward, maybe it messes with your ability to think outside the box.
Exactly. It's like your focus shifts from the task itself to the reward. And that can lead to anxiety and ultimately to worse performance.
Okay, so we've got stifled motivation, we've got decreased performance. Two strikes against the traditional model. What's the third deadly flaw?
This one's a biggie, especially if you care about fostering creativity. Carrots and sticks, they can actually crush creativity.
Hold on, are you serious? I always thought a little competition may be a nice reward that could boost creativity.
It seems logical, I know.
Yeah.
But Pink brings up this really cool experiment. It's called the candle problem.
Okay, the candle problem, go on.
So you have participants. They have to figure out how to attach a candle to a wall. They're given some supplies, but it's tricky.
Gotcha. A candle, a wall, some random stuff. Sounds like a brain teaser.
Right. One group is offered a reward for solving it quickly. The other group, no reward.
So I'm guessing the reward group, they solved it faster.
Nope. They were actually slower. It seems like the pressure of the reward, it actually narrowed their focus. They had trouble seeing the creative solution that was right there.
That is so counterintuitive. But it makes sense when you think about it. So maybe if you want to boost creativity, ditch the rewards.
That's what Pink argues, yeah. When we get too fixated on external motivators, we limit people's ability to think outside the box, to experiment, to come up with new solutions.
All right, so we're seeing a pattern here. Those carrots and sticks, not so good after all.
Wait.
What's next on Pink's list of flaws?
All right, this one's interesting. These traditional motivators, they can actually crowd out good behavior.
Wait, what? Rewarding good behavior leads to less good behavior. How does that work?
Pink uses an example from some Israeli daycares.
Oh, daycares, okay.
They were having a problem with parents picking up their kids late.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic.
So they decided to, implement a fine system.
I'm going to guess, based on what we've talked about, it backfired.
You got it. Late pickups actually increased after they introduced those fines.
Wow. So what happened?
It seems like it shifted the parents' perception. It became less about a moral obligation and more about a simple transaction.
Like, well, I'm paying for the extra time, so it's fine.
Exactly.
That's such a great example of good intentions, and then, whoops, unintended consequences.
Totally.
All right, give me flaw number 5. What else has Pink got?
This one's a big one, especially these days. Carrots and sticks can encourage cheating and shortcuts.
Oh, yeah, I can see that happening in a lot of places.
Oh, absolutely. Pink talks about this infamous example, Sears Auto Centers. The mechanics there, they were given these quotas and incentivized to do more repairs. Guess what happened?
Uh-oh, this doesn't sound good.
Yeah, so they started recommending and even performing unnecessary repairs.
No way.
Just to hit those targets.
Wow, so the focus shifted from quality service to just hitting the numbers, huh?
Exactly. It's a slippery slope.
Okay, we're up to 6 deadly flaws. What's the next one?
All right, so this one gets at why these external motivators can be so problematic. They can actually become addictive.
Addictive? Wait, you mean like we can become psychologically dependent on those rewards?
Exactly. When we're constantly looking for that external validation, those rewards, we lose touch with what really motivates us.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We're basically chasing that dopamine rush, but it's coming from external sources, not from within.
So it's like we're training our brains to crave those external rewards. Sounds like a recipe for burnout.
It absolutely can be. Plus, it makes it way harder to enjoy things that don't have some kind of tangible reward attached to them.
That's a great point. Okay, we're on the last one. Hit me with the 7th deadly flaw.
Pink argues that carrots and sticks, they can make us think short term.
Oh, I could see that.
When we're hyper-focused on those immediate rewards, we lose sight of the bigger picture. We miss the long-term consequences.
Like that marshmallow experiment, right?
Exactly. The kids who could delay gratification, they ended up doing better in the long run. Pink says that when we overuse these short-term incentives, we're creating a culture of instant gratification.
Makes sense.
And that can really get in the way of, innovation, long-term planning, even sustainable success.
Wow, those 7 deadly flaws, that's a pretty strong argument against traditional motivation. But if motivation 2.0 is so bad, what's the alternative? What does this motivation 3.0 look like in real life?
Well, that's where those 3 key psychological needs come in.
Autonomy, mastery, purpose.
You got it. Pink argues that when we create environments that support those needs, we unlock a whole new level of motivation.
I can see that. It's more sustainable, right? And it probably benefits everyone involved.
Exactly.
Okay, let's break it down. Let's start with autonomy. What are some ways to build more autonomy into our work lives?
Pink focuses on giving people more control over their work.
Okay, makes sense.
He breaks it down into 4 T's: task, time, technique, and team.
I love a good acronym. So task means like giving people more say in what they work on.
Exactly. Let them choose projects that align with their interests, their skills. That can be super motivating.
Yeah, and I bet it leads to better results too.
Yeah.
This reminds me of something Pink mentions about Atlassian.
Oh, the software company.
Yeah, they have this thing called FedEx Days.
I love FedEx Day.
Right. Employees get 24 hours to work on any project they want as long as it's not part of their regular job.
It's so cool. And it's not just some fun perk. They've actually created some really successful products that way.
That's amazing.
It really shows the power of giving people that freedom to explore their own ideas.
Absolutely. And I think they also do 20% time there, right?
Yeah.
Like employees can use a fifth of their work time on side projects.
They do.
I bet that attracts some seriously creative people.
Oh, for sure. And it's not just Atlassian. Pink gives tons of examples of companies doing this kind of stuff.
Right, like Best Buy.
Yeah, Best Buy. Remember their results-only work environment?
ROW.
ROWE, that's it. No set schedules. You're judged only on your output.
Didn't their productivity actually go up after they implemented that?
It shot up, like 35%, plus less turnover.
Yeah.
Giving people control over their time, it's a win-win.
Okay, so we've got task and time. What about technique? How do we give people more autonomy over how they approach their work?
Well, Pink says it's about giving people the freedom to choose their own methods,
Makes sense?
their own strategies. It can be really empowering. Take Zappos, for example.
Oh, the online shoe company?
Yeah, they're known for having amazing customer service.
Oh, yeah, they're legendary. What's their secret?
One big factor, they give their customer service reps total autonomy.
Seriously?
No scripts, no time limits. They trust their people.
Wow, I bet that makes the reps feel valued. And I'm sure it's more enjoyable for them, too, to actually be able to connect with customers on their own terms.
Absolutely. And it shows in their customer satisfaction ratings.
Makes sense. Okay, last one, team. So giving people more control over who they work with.
Exactly. It's tricky to do in practice, but Pink suggests, maybe creating more opportunities for cross-functional projects, or even letting employees form their own teams based on their skills and interests.
I love that. That really puts the power in the hands of the people doing the work. Okay, so we've covered autonomy. What about mastery? How do we nurture that drive to get better at something we care about?
Pink explains mastery as, that urge to keep improving, to keep learning, to push yourself, and to experience flow.
Flow, that's a popular term. Can you break it down for me? What does it mean to be in flow?
Think about a time you were totally absorbed in something. So focused that you lost track of time.
Like you were just in the zone.
Exactly. Maybe you were working on a project you love, or playing a sport, or having a really deep conversation.
Yeah, I get that feeling when I'm writing or doing research for the show.
Right. That's flow.
It's like the rest of the world just fades away. You're totally present, totally engaged.
Exactly. Pink talks about Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, a psychologist who studied this, and he actually used pagers for his research.
Pagers? Like those things from back in the day?
Yep. Back in the 90s, he'd page people randomly and ask them to record what they were doing and how they were feeling.
That's a pretty cool research method, I have to say. So what did he find out?
Well, through all that data, he identified the state of flow as a key ingredient for happiness.
Makes sense.
So how do we create more of those flow experiences?
That's the million-dollar question.
Pink says we need to design environments that are flow-friendly.
Flow-friendly, okay.
So that means creating workspaces, designing tasks that are challenging,
Okay.
but not too overwhelming, clear goals, immediate feedback.
So it's about finding that sweet spot, right, where people feel challenged but not discouraged.
Exactly. And another key aspect, encouraging a growth mindset.
Ah, yeah, this is where Carol Bleck's work comes in.
You got it. Pink highlights her research. It's all about praising effort and strategy, not just inherent talent.
So it's not about saying, I'm good at this. It's about saying, I'm getting better at this.
You nailed it.
It's about fostering that love of learning, that willingness to embrace challenges, even when you hit setbacks.
Exactly. And speaking of challenges, Pink's got this idea, the second law of mastery. He says mastery is a pain.
Okay, I can see that. No pain, no gain, right?
Yeah.
But how do we encourage people to embrace that painful part of mastery.
Well, one approach is to highlight Anders Ericsson's work.
Anders Ericsson, the psychologist.
Yep. He studied expert performers, athletes, musicians, chess players.
Oh, yeah, heard of him.
He found that all those experts, they spent a lot of time doing something called deliberate practice.
Deliberate practice. So it's not just about putting in the hours, right?
Right. It's about being intentional,
Okay.
strategic.
Yeah.
You know, breaking down skills, identifying weaknesses, seeking feedback. It's all about constantly refining your craft.
So even though it's challenging, it's also rewarding.
Totally. It's about experiencing that sense of progress, of getting better at something you're passionate about.
Okay, so we've talked about autonomy, we've talked about mastery. Yeah. What about purpose? This one feels a little trickier, especially in workplaces that are, focused on the bottom line.
It's definitely not always easy. But Pink argues that purpose, it's not just some fluffy feel-good thing.
Right.
It's a real driver of motivation.
Okay.
And he has some great research to back it up.
Like that study that followed college grads.
Yes. The one where they found that grads who focused on what they call purpose goals.
Like helping others, making a difference.
Exactly. They were happier. They had a greater sense of well-being than those who were chasing after profit goals like wealth and fame.
So working towards goals that align with your values, contributing to something bigger than yourself, it really does make a difference.
It really does. And Pink emphasizes that purpose. It doesn't have to be about, grand gestures. It's about finding meaning in your everyday actions, connecting your work to a larger why.
I like that. So it's about that feeling of making a positive impact, even in a small way.
Exactly. And that's where he talks about the difference between they companies and we companies.
We companies and we companies.
He's using Robert Reich's pronoun test.
The pronoun test. Intriguing. Tell me more.
It's really simple, but insightful. Reich noticed that when you ask people about their company, the pronouns they use, it's telling.
Okay.
If someone's always saying they, it suggests a disconnect, like they don't really feel like they belong.
But if they say we, it means they feel like they're part of a team, right? Like they're working towards a shared goal.
Exactly. In a Motivation 3.0 environment, you hear a lot more we.
I like that. So how do we create that sense of purpose for ourselves and for our teams?
Pink talks about authenticity, about transparency.
Okay.
It's not just about writing a nice mission statement. It's about actually believing in what you're doing and why it matters.
It's about walking the walk.
Exactly. And it's about giving people a voice, involving them in decisions.
Empowering them.
Exactly.
Okay, Pink makes a strong case for autonomy, mastery, and purpose. But he's also realistic, right? Putting these ideas into practice can be tough.
Yeah, he acknowledges that. Shifting from that Motivation 2.0 mindset to Motivation 3.0, it's an effort.
For individuals and for leaders.
Absolutely. It's not just about a few new policies. It's about rethinking how we approach work, learning, even life in general.
It's a big shift.
It is. But Pink also says it's a journey, not a destination.
Okay, I can get on board with that.
And he gives a lot of practical advice to help us along the way.
Right. His toolkit section is full of exercises and tips and even a reading list for people who want to learn more.
And it's really cool because it shows that, even though it takes work, making this shift is totally doable.
And the potential benefits are huge, not just for productivity, but for personal fulfillment too, right?
Exactly. It's about creating environments where people can thrive.
Well said. So as we wrap up this part of our dive into drive, let's leave our listener with something to think about. If you could redesign your ideal work environment, or even your whole life, around these principles, what would it look like?
It's a great question to ponder, right? It's like, what if work wasn't just about paying the bills?
Right.
What if it was about growing and actually enjoying what you do?
It's a cool thought experiment. And Pink talks about how these ideas can impact, not just individuals, but whole organizations.
Oh, absolutely. He argues that, as we move into this, knowledge-based economy.
Yeah.
Motivation 3.0, it's not just a nice to have, it's essential.
Yeah, it feels like the old ways of doing things, that command and control style, it's just not working anymore.
It's so outdated.
Yeah. People want more autonomy, more meaning.
Exactly.
If companies don't adapt, I think they're going to have a hard time.
Oh, totally. They'll struggle to attract talent.
And they're probably missing out on so much creativity,
Sure.
When people feel micromanaged, they're not going to be at their best.
You nailed it. Pink's book is a wake-up call.
It really is.
For everyone, leaders especially, we need to rethink our whole approach to motivation.
It's about creating environments where people can actually thrive.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, Pink doesn't just point out the problems, he actually offers solutions.
Right, he gives us a roadmap.
He does. With real steps, real examples, it makes it feel possible even for organizations that are, stuck in those old ways.
It's inspiring.
It is.
So if you're feeling kind of stuck, if you're looking for ways to motivate yourself to inspire others, Drive is a must-read.
Seriously, it can change how you think about everything.
And if you're pressed for time, Pink actually has a great summary on his website. Plus, he's got a bunch of other resources.
Oh, he's got so much good stuff out there. Articles, videos. There's even a quiz to help you figure out your own motivational style.
Oh, that's fun.
It's a great starting point for anyone who's interested in, diving deeper into this stuff.
And, even if you've already read Drive, it's always good to revisit these ideas.
Totally agree.
It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and forget about those things that really motivate us.
It's like we need a reminder sometimes. Remember what matters.
Exactly. Autonomy, mastery, purpose. Don't lose sight of those things.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
So as we wrap up this part of our dive into Drive, I want to leave you with another thought to chew on.
All right, hit me.
If you could redesign your perfect work environment, or even just your everyday life, based on these principles, what would it look like?
Really gets you thinking, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a good one. It's like reimagining what work could be, what life could be even.
Totally. And Pink really emphasizes that we all have that power.
We do.
To create a world where, work isn't just about a paycheck.
Right.
It's about purpose, it's about joy, it's about, actually finding meaning in what you do.
And that's a world I want to live in.
Me too.
So listeners, if you're feeling inspired, if you're ready to unlock your own potential, check out Drive.
Seriously, it's such a good book. And it's not just theory, it's practical too.
He gives you the tools to actually make those changes.
He does.
All right. That's about it for our deep dive into Drive. It's been a pleasure chatting with you about this.
Likewise. Always a good time talking about motivation.
It is. And listeners, we hope you enjoyed this conversation. Keep those wheels turning. Think about those questions we posed.
What would your ideal work environment look like? How can you bring more autonomy, mastery, and purpose into your life?
Yeah, those are the big ones. And remember, it's a journey. So be patient with yourself, keep learning, keep growing.
And most importantly, don't forget to have fun along the way.
Absolutely. All right, until next time, happy diving, everyone.